The Denver sky was a muted gray, heavy with the promise of snow, as Ryan sat in the recliner by the living room window of their modest ranch-style home in the Highlands neighborhood. The chemo port in his chest itched under the bandage, a constant reminder of the leukemia diagnosis that had upended his life 3 months ago. At 38, Ryan, a high school history teacher with a love for vinyl records and bad puns, had never imagined he'd be here bald, frail, fighting for his life. But he clung to the things that grounded him. His home with its creaky hardwood floors and overstuffed bookshelves, his dog, Baxter, a golden retriever who never left his side, and Lily, his wife of 10 years, who'd promised to be his rock through this nightmare. Lily, a marketing coordinator with a quick wit and a talent for baking, had been Ryan's partner since their college days at CU Boulder. They'd built a life together, filled with hiking trips in the Rockies, late-night debates over craft beer, and dreams of starting a family. When the diagnosis came, Lily had held his hand in the oncologist's office, her eyes fierce with determination. "We're in this together," she'd said. "I'm not going anywhere." Ryan believed her. He had to. The chemo was brutal, nausea, fatigue, a fog that made his thoughts sluggish, but Lily's presence, her gentle touch, her insistence on cooking his favorite meals even when he could barely eat, kept him going. That morning Ryan was alone. Lily had gone to work, leaving a note on the fridge. "Back by 6. Call if you need me. Love you." Baxter was curled up at his feet, snoring softly. Ryan's phone, a lifeline to the outside world, sat on the coffee table, its battery nearly dead. He reached for it, then realized he'd grabbed Lily's phone by mistake. They had identical cases, a silly matching set they'd bought on a whim. He was about to set it down when it buzzed, a text notification lighting up the screen. The name Chris appeared, followed by a message. "Miss you already. Last night was incredible." Ryan's stomach dropped. Chris. He didn't know any Chris. Lily had never mentioned a Chris. His hands trembled as he stared at the phone, his mind screaming at him to put it down, to trust his wife, to chalk it up to a misunderstanding. But the chemo had stripped away his ability to ignore the nagging dread that had been building for weeks. Lily's late nights at the office, her sudden need for girls' nights with friends Ryan had never met, the way she'd pull away when he tried to hold her. He swiped the screen, her passcode, their anniversary, 0714. Unlocking it easily. The text thread with Chris stretched back weeks. A cascade of messages that made Ryan's heart pound so hard he thought he might pass out. "Can't stop thinking about you. When can I see you again?" He doesn't suspect anything, does he? There were photos. Lily in a dress Ryan didn't recognize, smiling at a bar, Chris's arm around her. Chris, a lanky guy with a beard and a cocky grin, who worked at Lily's firm. The timestamps were damning. Nights when Ryan was in the hospital, hooked 2 and 4. Mornings when he'd been too weak to get out of bed. Moments when he'd needed her most. Ryan scrolled until he couldn't anymore, the words blurring through tears. Lily, his Lily, had been living a double life while he fought for his. The betrayal wasn't just the affair. It was the timing, the cruelty of her absence when he was at his lowest. He thought of the nights he'd spent alone in the hospital, texting her for comfort, only to get short replies or none at all. She'd been with Chris, giving him the attention Ryan had craved, the love he'd thought was his. When Lily came home at 6:15, her cheeks flushed from the cold, Ryan was still in the recliner, her phone on the table in front of him. Baxter lifted his head, tail thumping, but Ryan didn't move. Lily set her bag down, her smile faltering as she saw his face. "Hey, you okay?" she asked, her voice cautious. "Who's Chris?" Ryan said, his voice hoarse, barely above a whisper. Lily froze, her eyes darting to her phone. For a moment she didn't speak, her lips parting as if searching for an excuse. Then her shoulders slumped and she sank onto the couch, her hands covering her face. "Ryan, I'm so sorry," she whispered. "Sorry for what?" he asked, his voice rising despite the exhaustion weighing him down. "For cheating on me? For lying while I'm in chemo? For letting me think you were here for me? It wasn't supposed to happen," she said, tears streaming down her cheeks. He was just a friend at first. I was so scared, Ryan. Watching you get sick, not knowing if you'd make it, it broke me. I needed someone to lean on, and he was there." Ryan laughed, a sharp, bitter sound that made Baxter whine. "You needed someone? I'm the one with cancer, Lily." I'm the one who needed you. And you were off with him in bars in his bed, while I was fighting to stay alive. She sobbed, her head in her hands. I know. I hate myself for it. I wanted to tell you but I couldn't. You were already going through so much. Don't you dare make this about me, Ryan said, his voice shaking. You chose this. You chose him over me, over us. Lily looked up, her eyes pleading. I ended it. Last week I told him it was over. I want to fix this, Ryan. I love you. He stared at her, the woman he'd loved for a decade, and saw a stranger. The chemo had taken his strength, his hair, his appetite, but this took his trust, his hope, the foundation of everything he'd held dear. I don't know if you can fix this, he said quietly. I don't know if I can. He asked her to leave just for the night, and she did, packing a bag and driving to her sister's. The house was silent without her, save for Baxter's soft breathing. Ryan didn't sleep. He sat by the window watching the snow start to fall, blanketing Denver in white. He thought of the life they'd planned, kids, a cabin in the mountains, growing old together, and wondered if it had ever been real. The next day he called his brother Ethan, who drove up from Colorado Springs to stay with him. Ethan didn't push, didn't ask too many questions, just sat with Ryan, watching old westerns and keeping Baxter fed. Ryan started therapy, a hospital social worker helping him navigate the double blow of cancer and betrayal. He didn't tell many people. Shame and pride kept him quiet, but those he confided in, like his best friend from work, rallied around him, bringing casseroles and company. Lily tried escorts, took him to a bar where he met Chris, a man Lily had been seeing behind his back. The discovery shattered Ryan, who was already grappling with his leukemia diagnosis and chemotherapy. Despite the pain, Ryan confronted Lily, who admitted to the affair and begged for forgiveness. Over time, with therapy and support, Ryan focused on his recovery, both physically and emotionally, while navigating the complex path toward healing or redefining his relationship with Lily.